Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel. I am wearing black today, which can only mean one thing: we are making something with flour. I'm going to show you how to make the perfect dumpling wrappers, and you can use that recipe for boiled dumplings, pan-fried dumplings, steamed dumplings, and you can basically put any filling inside whatever you want. The recipe is fairly simple. It has only 3 ingredients. It takes about roughly 1 hour to make it, and once you perfect it and you have some routine, you're going to make dumplings every single day. Let's start. Let's start by adding some wheat flour into the bowl. This is just all-purpose wheat flour from the supermarket. There's no need to buy any specific brand or specific type. Next, I'm going to add a pinch of salt before I add the last ingredient, which is just tap water. For beginners, I would recommend to use lukewarm or warm water because it helps the gluten develop faster and better, so you can handle the dough better, but I just use random tap water. That works fine for me. I don't use any measurements, but if I have to guess, I would say the ratio is 2 to 1, which means 2 cups of flour versus 1 cup of water. Next, you're going to stir everything and combine the water, salt, and flour in the bowl until you feel like you can put your chopsticks, whisk, or whatever you use away and use your hands to knead the dough. Making dumpling wrappers is really easy, but there are 2 things that are really important. First one is to have patience, and the second one is to do a lot of kneading and handwork and put the effort to actually knead the flour for about 5 minutes. After kneading the dough for about 3 to 4 minutes, it should become kind of medium firm and have a rough appearance. You can clearly see that the surface isn't as smooth as you want to be, but we're going to cover it and set it aside for 30 minutes and then come back later. 30 minutes later, the gluten had some time to develop, and it should feel a little bit more softer than before to handle. The resting process will help to soften the dough. The longer it rests, the softer it becomes. At this point, you basically repeat the entire process and knead the dough another 5 minutes so the gluten can develop further and make the dough even softer and more stretchy. This is how the dough ball looks like now after kneading it again for 5 minutes before I put it back into the bowl for another 20 minutes to rest. The longer you let it rest and the more you knead it, the easier the dough is to handle. After the second resting period, you can now take the dough out of the bowl and now begin to work on our wrappers. Dust your working table with a little bit of flour, knead it a little bit, and then basically you want to shape a ball out of this dough. Once you're happy with the round ball-shaped dough, pinch a hole into this dough in the middle so it now kind of looks like a donut. And then you basically want to move around and thin out this rope-like shape before you put it back on your working table or board and then chop up at one place. Separate the 2 ends, roll this rope out a little bit thinner, and then you take a knife or cutter or whatever and then cut equal sized pieces and then press down on each and every single piece to prepare it to be rolled out for a wrapper. Just repeat the cutting and the pressing down with the palm of your hands, cutting, pressing down with the palm of your hands until you're done with the entire piece of dough. Don't worry if they don't look perfectly the same. I'm going to show you the next step, how to roll out with a pin. You start by rolling each piece from top to bottom and from the bottom to top. The perfect dumpling wrapper is thicker in the middle and thinner around the edge, so the edge of the dumpling wouldn't be too thick after you pinch it together, but to achieve that, it definitely needs a lot of practice. To do it, you would basically hold the wrapper with one hand and then with the other hand roll out the edges, starting from not directly the middle, so you can leave the middle a little bit thicker and the edges will turn out a little bit thinner. If that's too complicated, you can also just put the wrapper down onto the board and then just turn it and then roll it and then turn it and roll it without holding it with one hand. But if you're like me and don't mind that the edges are a little bit more thicker and doughier in the end, you don't have to do it that precisely and just roll out whatever and however you like. And voila, that's how it looks like. You can roll it out even more thin, but as I said before, I don't mind to have more of this chewy, delicious, soft dough with my dumplings, so I'm going to leave it like that. Fast forward 10 minutes, I rolled out every single piece. There's so many ways to wrap your dumplings. This one is more like a braid, and then I love the triangle one because it kind of looks minimalistic and very, very clean. This one looks like a small bow. This one looks more traditional but without the work on the edges. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and I'll see you next time. Bye!